We came in ships from across the sea.
Imagine being marooned on a barren island, your only companions the haunting cries of the jungle and the unending roar of waves hammering the shore. For over 4 years, one man endured this terrifying existence. This is the true, unsettling tale of a real castaway whose relentless struggle against impossible odds forces us to question the very limits of human endurance. Welcome back to Into the Deep, where we unearth the most mysterious and bone-chilling stories buried in history. Today, we explore the harrowing ordeal of a solitary man on a desolate island, a trial that would later inspire one of literature's greatest adventure novels. Born in 1676 in the remote Scottish village of Lower Largo, Alexander Selkirk seemed destined for a life of peril and wanderlust. As a boy, his rebellious streak often landed him in trouble, but his passion for the sea propelled him into the adventure that would reshape his destiny forever. Selkirk began his seafaring career as a buccaneer in 1703 when he joined an expedition led by the English privateer William Dampier, embarking from Ireland. Armed with letters of marque, their mission was to attack enemy ships during the War of the Spanish Succession. Dampier captained the St. George, while Selkirk sailed aboard the Cinque ports under Captain Thomas Stradling. After a perilous voyage around Cape Horn, their fleet clashed with a French vessel that managed to escape, alerting Spanish forces in the region. Following a disastrous raid in Panama, fortune briefly returned when they seized a merchant ship loaded with supplies. Selkirk was given command of this captured vessel, but Dampier quickly released it after stripping away provisions of wine, sugar, flour, and brandy. By May 1704, Captain Stradling and the Cinque port separated from Dampier's command, setting in motion the events that would seal Selkirk's fate. By September of that year, the Cinque ports reached the uninhabited island of Tierra, part of the Juan Fernandez archipelago, to replenish fresh water. During the voyage, Selkirk had grown increasingly worried about the ship's failing condition and often argued with Stradling about its safety. Convinced the vessel was doomed, he made a desperate choice. He declared he would rather remain on Tierra than continue aboard. To his shock, Stradling accepted his ultimatum and ordered him left behind on the desolate island. Regret struck instantly, and Selkirk begged to be taken back, but Stradling, eager to make an example, refused. As the Cinque ports disappeared into the horizon, Selkirk was left to confront the crushing reality of isolation. He stood utterly alone, hundreds of miles from civilization, with only a handful of possessions: a musket, a worn hatchet, a cooking pot, a knife, carpenter's tools, his Bible, clothing, and bedding. The island was raw and unforgiving, alive with eerie sounds that filled the nights.
Selkirk's first days were consumed by fear and disorientation as he struggled to adjust. Survival demanded immediate action. He needed food, water, and shelter. He sheltered in a seaside cave, surviving on whatever meager forage he could gather. Crushed by loneliness, regret, and despair, he often gazed helplessly at the endless horizon. Later, he admitted he frequently considered ending his own life. But an invasion of nature itself pushed him to act. During mating season, hordes of massive sea lions overran the beaches, cutting off his food supply and driving him inland. Though he dreaded the shadowy wilderness of the jungle, this forced relocation became the turning point that saved his life. Deep within the valley, Selkirk discovered a landscape bursting with life: cabbage palms, wild turnips, and an array of native fruits that sustained him. He also came upon wild goats, descendants left behind by earlier buccaneers. At first, he hunted them with his musket, but once his gunpowder was spent, he learned to catch them with his hands and crude traps. In time, he managed to tame some, using them for both milk and meat. During one hunt, however, disaster nearly claimed him. While chasing a goat, Selkirk slipped and tumbled from a cliff, landing violently below. For days he lay crippled in agony, his survival hanging by a thread. The goat he had pursued broke his fall, sparing him from certain death. It was a close reminder that his greatest danger was not hunger, but the unforgiving terrain itself. The island posed another dire threat: rats. Colonies of them swarmed across the land, gnawing at his skin as he slept and threatening him with disease. But salvation came in the form of feral cats prowling the island. Selkirk tamed some, and they became his nocturnal guardians, fending off the rats as he rested. This strange companionship brought him a fragile sense of comfort. With each passing week, he learned more about how to endure the island's merciless rhythm. Months turned into years, yet Selkirk clung to hope. Every day, he scanned the horizon from a lookout point, kindling signal fires whenever he glimpsed sails in the distance. In October 1704, he built inland shelters by a stream, using his tools to craft huts from pimento wood, roofing them with grass. Inside, he spread goat skins for bedding and fashioned crude furniture. With boiled goat meat, roasted lobsters, and herbs like parsley and watercress, his diet grew varied enough to sustain him. His Bible became his most treasured possession. Daily readings not only preserved his faith but also kept his speech and sanity intact. Then came a moment that tested his resolve. 2 ships anchored offshore. Rushing to the shore with his heart ablaze, Selkirk realized too late they were Spanish. To be captured meant torture or life as a slave in the salt mines. He fled into the jungle as search parties combed the island. At one terrifying moment, a group of sailors spotted him and fired. Drawing on the agility he had built in exile, he scaled a towering tree and hid among the leaves. One of the Spaniards even relieved himself beneath the branches where Selkirk concealed himself. Yet, remarkably, they never noticed him, and soon retreated to their ship. As the years dragged on, Selkirk's tools and clothing deteriorated. When his knife finally gave out, he hammered new blades from an iron barrel hoop washed ashore. His garments, now nothing but tatters, were replaced with crude outfits stitched from goat skins. His bare feet grew tough from endless running across volcanic rock, and his beard grew long and wild, giving him the look of a feral creature. Despite these hardships, Selkirk never stopped adapting to his solitary world. Though his life had become a rhythm of survival, he never lost hope of salvation. He built fires atop ridges, hoping smoke might draw the eye of a distant ship. Every dawn, he climbed to his lookout, sweeping the horizon with desperate eyes. But rescue never came, and so he pressed on. Little did he know, fate was already turning in his favor. By this time, William Dampier, the very man whose voyage had left Selkirk marooned, was leading a new privateering expedition along the South American coast. His fleet now included 2 ships, the Duke and its companion, the Duchess, which sailed from England in September 1709. By January 1710, the ships were nearing Isla Massa Tierra. For Selkirk, after 4 years and 4 months of isolation, salvation was close at hand. But his earlier brush with Spanish forces had left him cautious. Selkirk constantly scanned the seas from his lookout before daring to approach the beaches. On February 1, 1710, he spotted 2 vessels on the horizon whose rigging looked unmistakably British. His heart thundered as he sprinted down to the shore, kindled a signal fire, and waved frantically for attention. Dampier, seeing the sudden column of smoke, dispatched a boat to investigate. The landing party, led by Thomas Dover, was stunned when they encountered Selkirk alive. Overwhelmed with joy, Selkirk could barely speak, his voice broken after years of solitude. Captain Woodes Rogers of the Duke jokingly named him the governor of the island. But beneath the humor, Rogers was deeply impressed. Selkirk had grown lean, agile, and resilient, his survival a living testament to human tenacity. The goats he chased daily had honed his strength, and his body radiated health in contrast to the crew, many of whom suffered from scurvy. Selkirk quickly aided them, providing fresh food and guiding them to vital resources on the island. Rogers marveled at his mental composure as well, writing that solitude was not as unbearable as most men imagined, especially when thrust upon someone unwillingly. So impressed was Rogers that he appointed Selkirk as second mate aboard the Duke. For Selkirk, the sea once again called him to battle. His days as a privateer were far from over. Soon after rejoining the world, he proved his daring spirit had not diminished. At Guayaquil, in modern-day Ecuador, he spearheaded a bold raid along the Guayas River. There, he and his men seized gold and jewels from Spanish nobles who had fled inland with their treasures. Selkirk's audacity revived his reputation as a fearless seaman. And his exploits did not end there. Along the coast of Mexico, he played a crucial role in capturing a heavily laden Spanish galleon. His knowledge of navigation and unyielding resolve made him invaluable to his comrades. Later, he served as sailing master under Captain Thomas Dover, guiding the fleet across the Pacific toward the East Indies. The journey carried them through storms and hostile waters, but Selkirk's steady hand kept them on course. Step by step, he helped complete a full circumnavigation of the globe. On October 1, 1711, Selkirk finally set foot on English soil once more. He had been gone for 8 long years. From rebellious youth to marooned outcast, and then seasoned navigator, he returned transformed. His incredible survival became a sensation across Britain. Crowds were enthralled by the tale of the man who had defied death on a forgotten island. Daniel Defoe would later draw inspiration from Selkirk's ordeal to craft the legendary novel Robinson Crusoe. Though fiction embellished the account, its roots lay in the resilience of one castaway who refused to yield. Selkirk's survival spoke to something universal, the will to endure even in the loneliest abyss. Centuries later, his legacy still stirs awe and disbelief. But his story was not yet finished. In 1966, the Chilean government honored his memory by renaming Isla Más Afuera as Alejandro Selkirk Island. It was a fitting tribute to the man whose name had become synonymous with resilience. His solitary ordeal remains more than just a tale of survival, it is a reflection of the boundless strength that lies hidden within the human spirit. Even in the face of nature's cruelest trials, Selkirk had endured. And through his endurance, his story continues to echo across time. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the past. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more chilling tales from history. Until we meet again, stay safe.